Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me today on this beautiful day of the week, whatever day of the week it is that you're listening. I'm happy to be back all by my lonesome. It's fun to be here by myself, and it's fun to be here with someone else, and so I enjoy it all. Today, I got a message, and it's a private message, so I'm not going to read it, but it's such an excellent question. And I know that a lot of us are feeling the same way. And the question is about anger and not being able to clear yourself of anger. And especially when you've done a lot of work and you just know that you are filled with love and light and beauty and oneness. But sometimes when you get squeezed, like Wayne Dyer talks about, when you squeeze an orange, what comes out? Orange juice. Well, if you get squeezed, what comes out? Whatever's inside, right? And sometimes if we're squeezed and we're stressed out and we release anger after all this work, sometimes we beat ourselves up about it. And it's like, I've done all this work. Why am I still getting angry? And like the beautiful soul who sent me this message, sometimes that makes us feel like that we're failing at our purpose. Because if our purpose in life is to be here and to spread good vibes and loving energies, that if we get angry, we feel like then we're failing at that. How many of you can relate to that? I know a lot of us can. I know I certainly can. And listen, I get angry. I mean, I don't want to say often, but enough that I know I get angry sometimes. And I've been doing this work for like 20 years. I still get angry. And so I want to get into this a little bit because we have this idea that some emotions are good and some emotions are bad. And that's not true. All emotions are just emotions. They're energy in motion, like we know, and they're all experiences that we came here to have. Because if we weren't here, we wouldn't be able to have them, because the earth is a very, very special place where it's a school, and we came here to learn and experience all these emotions. In other places, you can see more clearly. We have a veil here that separates our conscious and unconscious minds. And so it's a lot harder for us to see the reality of the totality of all that is, the unity of all that is. It's very apparent in other dimensions and other realities. Here, not so much. And because it's not so apparent, we get to experience all these beautiful emotions. So the thing about the emotions that we maybe claim as bad or negative, remember that there's nothing bad or negative about it, because it's just an energy that you are learning from. What's important about it is that you allow it to flow through you and to stay in motion, right? And energy in motion stays in motion. Newton's first law of motion. So we need to do the same thing with our emotions and not stuff them. Recognize that they're okay. It's okay to get mad. It's okay to have any kind of emotion. It's all a phase. We don't stay there. These phases, they come and they go. And so when we're angry, we can express it however we need to in the most appropriate, healthy way that we can. So healthy ways to express our anger would be if you need to yell it out, not yell at someone, but just in general, if you need to scream or pound on something, maybe you have a punching bag or a pillow, or just jumping up and down, or whatever it is that feels good to you, that's a healthy way to just let it out. The unhealthy ways of expressing our anger are when we start taking it out on others or using our anger to manipulate or to control a situation. That's where we bring the negativity in. It's not the emotion that's negative. It's what we're doing with it. So it's what we're doing with it that really counts. So if you get angry, it's okay. Get angry, understand that anger, balance it, accept it, and keep it moving. Make sure you keep it moving. This is not the kind of stuff we want to stuff, because that's how we create disease. Stuffed anger will almost certainly cause cancer. So it's extremely important that we understand it and we learn to balance it by recognizing that we have everything within us, all the light, all the dark, and everything in between. And it's all love, because we are source. There is nothing else that we are. All the light, all the dark is source. So by recognizing that we have all of this within us, that it's all good, being able to have that understanding of this balance within us, comes an acceptance. So if we're feeling angry, knowing that I have the equal and opposite joy within me. Or, if you're feeling impatient, if you're feeling sad, you also have the equal and opposite patience and happiness. So with the acceptance and understanding of this all being a part of you and being okay with it, then you can move on. It doesn't need to get stuck within you. You can say, I recognize that this is a part of me. I accept it. And I move on. It's okay. It's all love. Thank you for the experience. That's the best part. This was an opportunity for me to learn. And all of these are opportunities for us to take a really good look within ourselves and see where we might have some blockages. Like, what are those triggers within ourselves? And not only what are they, or like what are the topics that trigger them, but where do we feel it in our body? And that's a big one. And that'll help us understand energetically what's going on within our system.
Before we continue on with today's episode, I'd like to take a few minutes to share 2 exciting new ways we can co-create and grow together. It's actually going to take about 3 minutes to explain, so if you'd like to skip ahead, now's your chance. One of the ways, for the first time ever, I'm going to be offering a few select slots for life activation sessions where I go deep with a few select people one-on-one to explore how we can put our heads together to upgrade you to the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. Now, I don't claim to have all the answers, but I have gotten pretty good at manifesting magic in my own life. And I feel strongly that I can help you do the same in your own life if you are truly committed to working with me and following my lead to help you get there. Honestly, this is not something I see myself doing for years to come. So if you want to take advantage of this window to work with me directly and discuss the possibilities of having one-on-one weekly spots, weekly sessions with me, head over to positivehead.com/upgrade and fill out the short form to set up a free life activation exploration call with me to discuss the possibilities. The other way is you can now grow and play alongside me and a plethora of other holistic healers, powerful coaches, and wonderful workshop facilitators via the new virtual community we have created over at optimistic.tv. Unlike the in-person retreats we've hosted over the last year here at the Mystic Manor, our new online retreat membership program is super accessible to each and every one of you from both a physical location and a cost perspective standpoint. We actually allow you to join for free and then pay what you can for our online retreat membership program, which conveniently connects you from the comfort of your home online via Zoom with our PlayShop facilitators, as well as the other PlayShop attendees from all over the world. Our online retreat playshops are available to you twice a day, 7 days a week. And we let you pay what you can because we don't want money to get in the way of you co-creating with us. Our ever-expanding stellar offerings include live-streamed playshops on Zoom, such as authentic relating, guided meditations, breathwork, with influencer Q&As, soul expression, sensual awakening, tarot, magic movement, sound healing, and much, much more. And we're going to be constantly collaborating with new healers and facilitators so that you continue to regularly get fresh PlayShop offerings, many of who are SoulShare guests on this podcast. So if you want to deepen your transformational journey with us beyond this podcast, just head over to optimistic.tv to sign up and pay what you can to join in all the PlayShop magic with us. It's even free right out of the gate. And otherwise, see you soon on Zoom here at the Mystic Manor. Here we grow.
So, of course, I found a little Abraham clip about this. Let's see what they have to say. Let's take a listen.
So sometimes something will happen in your environment to you or to someone you care about. And as this thing happens and you focus upon it for a while, you feel strong negative emotion that we would call the opposite of that empowered, worthy feeling that is really who you are. And that emotion you might call grief. It's that sort of emotion where you can't get any air. You feel suffocated. And so some bright, shiny, well-meaning student of Abraham sees you in your depression and points out to you that you are the creator of your own reality. And that depression is going to get you nowhere, and you should shape up. You should seek joy. And what you'd really like to do is just take a gun and kill them. Because hard as you try, from that depression, from that strong disallowance of who you really are, in that vibrational funk that for whatever reason you find yourself, you do not have access to ecstasy. You don't have access to passion. You don't have access to appreciation or to joy. You don't even have access to irritation. You don't even have access to overwhelmment. In other words, from that deep, 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 deep vibration, any more than when you turn on your radio, you can hear a song played that is being broadcast from one frequency, while you've got your tuner set to another. In other words, it just doesn't line up. There is no connection. So when you are in that strong disconnection, and you are trying to follow what Abraham says, which is find a thought that feels better, the best thought that may be available to you from your depression is one of rage. And what we want to say to you here today, in a way that you really, really hear it, is that if you find that thought of rage, and if you stew around in it for a little while, you will notice that you feel better. Now, those watching you from the outside are not going to encourage you into your rage. They liked you better when you were depressed. Because when you were depressed, you sort of went away and left them all alone. Only you know that the rage is an improvement, because only you know that you can breathe now. Only you know that this is an improvement. And what we want you to hear is that if you know that it is an improvement, and you stop and momentarily pat yourself on the back for choosing a thought that felt better to you, and if you are able to disregard the clamoring of all those bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, sunshine, rainbow, lollipop, sickening people that are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and who want you to be too, if you can disregard what they're clamoring at you and say to yourself, wait a minute, I feel better, then in that moment, you've got your power back. In the moment you show yourself that this thought, even though it's not the best thought you've ever had, even though it's not the best thought anybody's ever had, it's an improved thought for you, now you're on the mend, because now you're back in control. I'm thinking this thought of rage, and I got to tell you, I'm enjoying it, because it feels so much better than the suffocating depression I was feeling before. But now here's the most important part. You don't want to get stuck in the rage either. So the new mantra is, no matter where I am, I'm going to try to find a thought that feels a little better. And think about what that means. No matter where you are on the vibrational, emotional spectrum, if your goal is to feel a little better than you do, you're going to feel a little better than you do. And if you stop and say, I did that, I'm in charge, I am empowered, then you can reach for the next and feel better, and reach for the next and feel better, and reach for the next and feel better. And no matter where you are, you can go wherever you want to go until you're right back out into that good feeling place with all of those other happy people that were a little hard to take earlier. Getting the sense of this? Now, the key that we are amplifying here is your own personal self-empowerment. And we think that's what's been going wrong with so many who have tried to counsel people who were in deep disconnection from who they really are. Disconnection's too strong a word, but when you get into that place where you cannot get a breath of air, it feels like disconnection from life force itself. And if you are in the midst of that, and you are then able to consciously affect a little relief, and you can say openly, I feel so much better than I did, now you're off and running. So then think about it. So you go from that deep depression to that feeling of anger. Let's call it rage for the moment. And then as you're reaching for something that feels a little softer, you know how your anger has many different depths. There are some things that make you so angry you can hardly stand it. You want to spit nails. And there are some things that make you angry, but they are less angry. And so within that anger, in other words, you can go through your address book if you want to and find the ones that make you really angry and the ones that make you not so angry. But if you are deliberately feeling your way through this and acknowledging, oh, that feels better, I think I'll stay here for a while. Ah, that feels better, I think I'll stay here for a while, you can go from depression to rage to anger to serious irritation to aggravation to overwhelmment to frustration to hopefulness to softly believing, pessimistic sort of, to anticipating, to a little eager anticipation, to believing, to knowing. And there you are, right back to who you are. But you don't do it all at once. Now, the thing that throws you off sometimes is that some subjects don't matter that much, and so you think, wrongly, that you have jumped the full spectrum. Because some things you just don't give a rip about. And if you really don't care about something, then you don't go into depression when you can't do something about it. But when you care deeply about something and you feel that you are powerless, then you go into that strong negative emotion. Are you getting the sense of this? So we think that what confuses so many of you so much of the time is that on some subjects you are easily able to make the jump. And then you beat up on yourself because there are some subjects where you cannot easily make the jump. And all that means is you've been practicing the other thought longer. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're not a good creator. It means this vibration has a stronger hold in your vibrational pattern, but never, ever, 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 ever does it mean that you can't move the vibration. You can every time, no matter what. You've just got to decide to. So as we talk about being deliberate creators, and you've been listening to us for some time, many of you, encouraging you not to stay on that negative thought. Sometimes people will sit in the chair and they will want to spew all of their problems about where they stand, and you've heard us not listen to them, not want to encourage them, want to get them off of it. But we want to say to you, each person that sits in the chair, we are assessing where they are vibrationally, and we can tell how easily they will move into another place. What we are wanting you to understand here today is that nobody knows but you really where you are, and nobody knows but you really whether you've made any improvement. So two things we think would be very helpful. You have to say, nobody knows but me. They don't know. And then you have to say, but I do know. I can feel where I am vibrationally. And then the new mantra that we would offer if we were standing in your physical shoes is, nothing is more important than that I feel good. And I'm going to try to follow my bliss. But let's not try to jump all the way from wherever I am into bliss. Let's change it to say, I'm going to reach for the best thought that I have available. I'm going to reach for the best feeling thought on this subject that I have available. Now, the reason we're saying on this subject is because if you will take the time, no matter how you are feeling about whatever it is that you're feeling, and we promise you, if you are in the depths of despair, if you are feeling strong negative emotion, something really, really matters to you. It matters. It matters enough to figure out how to get a different vibration about it. So what we would encourage you to do is stop and say, what is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I am feeling here? And see if you can identify it. See if you can find the word that matches it. Different people mean different things with different words, and so you're not listening necessarily to anyone else, but you're trying to find the word that best exemplifies the emotion that you're feeling. And once you've found it, stop and smile and pat yourself on the back and feel pride and say, my vibrational indicator is letting me know where I am. And how important is that? Because everything that you feel is the vibrational range between where you are and where you want to be. Every single emotion that you or anybody else ever feels, everything about your creative experience, everything about life is about where I am relative to where I want to be. And so don't you think it is helpful to know where you are? When your gas gauge on your automobile reads empty, do you take a hammer and just beat it out of the dash? Stupid indicator. Or do you go fill your tank up? In other words, you appreciate the gauge. It lets you know something that is very important. And your emotions are that kind of gauge. And so when you feel negative emotion, it's a pretty apt analogy too, because full and empty, connected and not allowing, in other words, the allowing of who you really are, when you feel those negative emotions that you would call being on empty, so to speak, you don't want to throw a fit. You don't want to beat up on yourself. You want to do whatever you can to get a little more in your tank. You want to do whatever you can just to feel a little bit better.
So at the beginning there, she talks about these strong negative emotions that are really just the opposite of the empowered, worthy being that we really are. Because if we weren't this empowered, worthy being, we wouldn't be able to feel the equal and opposite emotion. So just that recognition and then understanding that the equal and opposite is within you is such a beautiful understanding and a way to accept it all of it, all of the experience. It's all there serving us. And as hard as it is sometimes in those moments, like when she's talking about that deep grief and depression that feels suffocating, and it's so deep that there is no access in that moment to joy and doesn't feel like there's any connection. It feels very disconnected in that place. But that place, even that deep, deep place that feels so awful to be in at the moment, is there serving your highest good. And of course, it's not something that you're going to think about in the moment or even feel good about. But to be able to look back on your life and remember those moments where you have felt in these ways and look at yourself now and say, oh, look at that. I'm okay. I'm okay after that. And look what I learned. That's the most beautiful thing. And so in those moments, to just try to reach for a little bit better thought, like in that deep, deep state of grief and depression, then a better thought is rage, because that rage is now at least opening you up a little bit. You don't feel so suffocated, and it's an improvement because you feel better. And that's the most important thing, feeling just a little bit better. And then being able to pat yourself on the back for being able to choose that thought using your willpower. When you're able to do that, that's when we reclaim our own sovereignty. We take our power back, knowing that it's my choice. I get to decide. I can pick a thought that feels better, even if it's just a tiny little bit better. If it goes from deep depression to rage, it's still a little bit better. Awesome. It's better. And even if I've done a ton of work and I still get angry, it's totally cool because it's a human emotion, and it's better from a deep state of depression that maybe I was in before. And so praise our wins. We need to praise our wins more. We don't need to compare ourselves. We don't need to compare ourselves to what we used to be or even who we want to be. No comparisons. In the moment, knowing that you can find a slightly better thought. And I think that that's one of the best practices that we can do, is that in those moments to try to reach for a slightly better thought. And it's easy to do, just a slightly better thought. And from there, recognizing it, owning our own power, getting it that we have the choice to change our mind is beautiful. And also recognize that we need to be patient with ourselves and realize that we can't go from point A to point Z, especially if you're really angered and really triggered. You know, it's like baby steps. We can only go a little bit at a time. It's unreasonable to think that we could just, clear it all away with a little bit of work. And I think this work takes a lifetime. I say I've been doing this for 20 years. That's like nothing. I have so much work to do. So much work to do. I know that one day, maybe I won't react with anger in certain situations. There will be a time when I can just be neutral. That's going to take a lot of work. And in the meantime, I'm going to be easy on myself, and I'm going to pat myself on the back, and I'm going to praise my wins every time I pick a more positive emotion than the place I'm in at that moment. That is how we continue to raise our vibration and also remind ourselves to stay in our heart center, because the more we practice this, the more we are reminded to be in our heart center. And speaking of, a really, really great practice to help to keep yourself at balance, because what's hard is in those moments of extreme frustration and anger is to tell yourself to think a different thought. Of course it is, right? Sometimes you just want to be angry. And if that's the case, then so be it. be angry, but just don't stay there for too long. So there comes a point where you have to get to that place of thinking a better thought. Then there is also a practice of meditation that you can do daily. And if you're doing a daily meditation practice, then your responses to everything in life are a little bit more balanced, a little bit more non-reactive, a little bit. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of practice. And in your meditations, if we can bring in energies of love and forgiveness and gratitude and sit in those energies for a good amount of time, then we are setting the stage for our energetic environment of the day. Very, very, very good practice. So there's the daily practice, the everyday practice, and then there's the practice in the moments, which is harder to do, but doable and awesome when you do it, because that's when you can pat yourself on the back and be like, yes, I did that. So I want us all to pat ourselves on the backs for being where we are right now, because it's a lot further than where we were before. A whole lot further. We're a lot more aware. We are a lot more in tune. We are a lot more in balance. We recognize the love way more easily. We're more grateful. We're more forgiving. And we love more. That is true. So give ourselves a little pat on the back, a little praise, praising our wins. Love yourself a little bit more today. If your tank is empty, fill it up in the best ways that you know how, in the best healthy ways that you know how. And always remember how much you are loved. I love you very much. I'm going to leave you with a song. This is Trevor Hall, a reminder. Until next time, love you all.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
And do you remember when you looked in the water and saw your reflection, the embers? They drew out a map and they showed you direction. Your sender is far in the east, where your heart is at peace when you enter. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder. My love is just a reminder, find your center. Yeah. Well, help me recall that first morning, sunlight at dawn, and cracks on the floor, well, it served as a warning. Everything's changing, I'll rearrange it. So familiar, so amazing. Hopped in the car, drove through the mountains, cows in the street, prayer beat to accountant. There was the river, eternal giver, flowing forever. Remember, find your center. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder. My love is just a reminder, find your center. My love is just a reminder. Your way, colors start to fade. Take a look within. find your offering. Hold it to the sun. Let your spirit run. Remember, find your center. My love is just a reminder, find your center.